Hello, ladies and gentlemen, one and all. Welcome back to the Just Interesting podcast, the weekly show. Well, we try and keep it weekly, but the weekly show where we discuss things that we find just interesting. And in the past, we've discussed unsung heroes of World War II as a topic, where we discussed moments of human valor during war. And today we thought we would spend some time thinking about the other people in war who fought valiantly as well. And they, of course, were not people, but animals. So we're going to be talking about some unsung heroic animals of war, whatever the title of the video or podcast that you clicked on. That is what we'll be discussing today. But Robin and Martin, how have you been this week?
Yeah, pretty good. What have we been up to? I started watching a new documentary series on World War II on Netflix.
Oh,
and
that's handily timed.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely aimed at like a casual audience. You know, it's like, you know, the British then retreated to Dunkirk. It's like, okay, yeah, right. But some of the footage that they've used is quite original, and some of the stuff I haven't seen before. Because I've seen all, like, you know, World War II in colour and various other pieces, but actually there's some new footage. The way they framed it's quite nice as well. They're like focusing in on the different fronts, and yeah, it's pretty good. So giving that a go. Watch the first episode today on the train, and yeah,
oh nice,
love a bit of World War II. You know how it is.
Well, I mean, hopefully, as we discussed today and as we've discussed in the past, there are just so many like stories that have come out of World War II, and World War I as well. I mean, there's just so many amazing stories of heroism and bravery and courage, and hopefully we'll talk about some of those today as well. But interesting,
and some not so nice stories. Like, did you know there's a bloody awful bloke called Hitler?
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to have
terrible.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to have a good villain, haven't you? Of course,
you do. You do. Yes, it's quite stereotypical as well. It's got the evil moustache. So yeah. Hopefully, at the end, he doesn't win. We'll see.
Did he?
I'll watch the rest of the series and let you know.
Did he start the evil moustache stereotype?
Oh. Good question. No.
That's a question.
No. The moustache twirling villain must have Hitler. He didn't have a twirly moustache. But you're right, all villains must have facial hair.
Where's the
some degree
twirling moustache then before Hitler? General Haig? Like he had a big moustache.
Yeah, so it feels like there'll be silent films with the...
Yeah, I was going to say, probably just a kind of stage thing. What do they call it? Victorian variety hall.
Variety hall.
I think that's what I'm thinking of. That kind of, you know, song and dance type thing, and there's probably a pantomimic moustache twirling.
But how have you been, Robin? You had a good week?
Yeah, pootling along, but coincidentally, sticking to the World War I theme, and this is entirely coincidence, I've been watching the 3-hour epic film from 1971, Nicholas and Alexandra, about Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, the Romanov family, who met a famously sticky end during the Russian Revolution during World War I. And it's I've got a lot to recommend it, I have to say. But I finished it. I've been watching it in segments because I can't watch anything in one sitting anymore. But I've been watching that in segments, and I watched the last segment of this 3-hour epic just before we started recording this. So and it has a happy ending, everyone. I'm in a great mood.
Good. Good.
Well, Robin and Martin have been watching lots of serious, history documentaries, and I'm over here watching Shaun of the Dead because it is officially spooky season. By the time that this goes out, it's October, and I think that
Halloween
starts. I was just telling Robin and Martin before we started recording, but we've got this tradition now where we make a trick or treat film bowl. So we put some.
This is you and your partner, not
not us.
Not us.
No matter how many times I suggest it, not us, sadly. But yeah, we put like a nice, funny, hot, scary film in, as in like Scooby-Doo or something, or Shaun of the Dead, and then an actual genuine horror, and we've got to pick them out of the bowl, and whatever we pick, we have to watch.
I think that's a great idea.
It's great unless you're really not in the mood for a really scary film. You're
that's why it's a trick.
I really want this to be, I don't know, Nightmare Before Christmas, and it ends up being I don't know, Jason,
a slasher film or something.
5.
Yeah.
But then those are also comedies, right?
Oh, slashers are, yeah.
Well, I think you've got to kind of like be wary of what you're putting into the bowl. You've got to ask yourself, if this comes
That's
out,
true.
am I actually going to want to watch it?
I still know what you did last summer. Yeah. Do
Exactly.
I want to watch that?
You can rig it. Alex puts loads of thought into this, puts loads of different options on the table. Ones that aren't too scary, aren't too silly, gets a really nice balance in the bowl. And at night, we swap it all out for Ghostbusters 2. Every single piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's a great idea for me to rig it and just get the films that I want. Just keep swapping the pieces of paper out.
That's how trust is lost.
It's turned into terrible, terrible relationship advice now. Let's move on.
We've watched The Shining 3 nights in a row, Alex. Do something else?
What can I tell you? It keeps coming out the bowl. We got to trust the bowl. It's not me choosing it. Yeah.
I can't
By the
believe
fourth time, it'll be funny, I promise.
I can't believe we've had all of the Jason films in order. God, what's the chances? Actually,
Fast and Furious. How did this get in here?
It is a horror film, to be fair.
Yeah. I do want to see the new Alien film, actually, talking of horror. I do want to see it. I've been wanting to go to the cinema. I think it's a good one to see in the cinema, probably.
Yeah, it was surround sound. Yeah. Right.
So I'm thinking of
7.1
going
or
maybe this
whatever
week,
up to now.
next week.
Yeah.
Well, great to catch up with you guys, fellas, and see you next week. No, I'm just joking. Fellas, what have you learned this week? Robin, have you learned anything interesting to share with us this week?
Well, I'll confess, this isn't something I've learned this week. This is something I learned from the Schokoladenmuseum that I went to a couple of weeks ago.
And
You're bringing another
yet again,
chocolate
a fact about chocolate.
Another
sorry,
chocolate
folks.
fact. No, I love chocolate facts.
But I
Go for
love
it.
this fact. It's a good one. So, chocolate, you eat it today, it's smooth, right? There are no bits in it. It's like a consistent level of chocolate throughout the whole thing.
Whole nut.
There are bits in that, yeah. Rocket
Okay,
Road,
well,
bits
let's
in
go
that, yeah.
But
What
the
about
chocolate
what about
itself,
Crunchy Bites bar?
the only stuff that's
What about
that's gritty in a chocolate bar is the stuff you want it to be. Like whether it's biscuit bits or nuts, like you say, or fruits or whatever you want in there.
Magic Creations?
Of course, chocolate made from cocoa beans which are dried and ground and put into it. So chocolate originally, bars of chocolate, actually not smooth, quite rough, lots of gritty bits. Many chocolatiers for many decades were trying to make smooth chocolate. And obviously they reached a certain point.
Yeah.
And then
But the
someone
man who
discovered a
invented-
sieve.
Well, no, it won't one better. The man who invented smooth chocolate, basically
Galaxy Brothers.
the melt in your mouth chocolate that all chocolate is now, but still I would say the king of melting in your mouth chocolate is Lindt.
Oh, yeah.
And
some magic
Mr.
going on there.
Lindt himself invented it in 1879 by accident.
Oh, okay.
There's a machine called a conch, which conches chocolate. So once the chocolate's all mixed and melted down, there's a machine that kind of just keeps stirring it, beating it to make it smoother. And traditionally you do it for a certain amount of time, and then you turn off the machines and you go home. And one Friday night, Mr. Lindt went home and left the machine on. And when he came back on Monday morning, the machine was still going, but the chocolate inside was perfection.
Wow.
And that was the invention of smooth chocolate.
So just keep on going with the same machine you've been using.
How they were trying for years, did you say? What was the we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Do you think they'd be like, this is making it smoother? What if we just carry on making it smooth?
That's the best part of the story. The solution was just to keep doing what you were doing.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the case, right? You think you're done, you're not.
Great art takes time.
Yeah, exactly.
What can I say?
Exactly. Must have increased the cost to produce it by quite a lot if you're keeping it on all night to be able to get the same result.
I mean, Lindt is expensive.
Yeah. Blimey. For that middle bit, they'll probably just keep it going indefinitely.
I'd be interested. So what was this machine that they were keeping on in 1849, did you say?
Conch. Everyone knows a conch.
1879.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Conch machine.
Everyone knows a conch machine. So have you not heard of a conch machine?
How embarrassing.
So it's like a little... Obviously, conch machines come in all shapes and sizes these days. But yeah, it's like a big stirring pot with elements. And depending on who made the machine, there might be like big blades that stir it, or there might be big kind of blocks that roll.
But like in terms of like how it was powered, was it like a steam powered thing?
This is a good question. By 1879, I think probably electrical.
Oh, interesting. Okay, fair enough.
Which is how you could leave it on over the weekend without burning down the factory. I suppose if it was a steam engine that was powering it, you could leave it on until the fuel got burnt up.
Not realised, just there's a steam engine going.
Yeah.
Oh,
No one's realised.
didn't you love that delicious coal taste in your in your chocolate?
Yeah. Dear.
Mr. Lind, the factory's burned down, but the chocolate in the conch is perfect.
Exactly.
Fascinating. Well, I think this should become a running segment, Robin. And honestly, I'd like another chocolate fact next week. So the challenge is on. Martin,
What have you learned?
What have I learned? I assume, Robin, that you're a big fan of Christopher Lee. I'm making that
I'm
assumption.
a massive fan. If I had anyone's voice, if I could have anyone's voice, I'd like Christopher Lee's.
I mean, that's just being selfish, though, Robin, because you've already got an amazing voice. So
That's very kind of you, but that's not.
you
what I
want
was
a
fishing
better voice. Like that's nothing's good enough for you, is it? Well, no, in fairness, that's true. Christopher Lee does have a good voice. I'll give you that.
So, Robin, you're a big fan. Alex, I imagine you're partial to a bit of Christopher Lee.
I like Christopher Lee. Yeah.
Good. Well, probably one of the most unlikely fans, and I'm just thinking about stereotypes here. One of the biggest fans of Christopher Lee was none other than Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
The boxers being fans of Christopher Lee. And this was a little bit of a surprise. And actually, Muhammad Ali, when he was promoting his title fight, which was the infamous Thriller in Manila with Joe Frazier, which is one of the most famous fights of all time, he was asked at the end of this particular fight, do you have anything to say to your fans? And he says, yes, I just want to say that I won this fight for Christopher Lee. He's out there watching me now.
How did I not know this? That's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, shout out to Muhammad Ali being a massive fan of Christopher Lee. Of course, neither of them are doing so well now. But
are we sure he wasn't talking about his French brother Christophe Ali?
Very true.
So I thought that was really surprising.
That is surprising.
So surprising.
Yeah.
Did he ever explain why he was such a massive fan of his? Do you think, or
no? I just think he just liked his films. Yeah, just a big fan of him as an actor.
I
which
think
is fair enough.
If I was like an Olympian or in world leading in sporting events, if I was a boxer, I would do something similar, but with like a really kind of a celebrity that you just wouldn't think of, like a household name, but like one that's like okay, sure.
It's a strange one, isn't it? It's like,
who would you choose?
It's a bit like Tyson Fury standing up and saying, shout out to Martin Freeman. Like, what?
Martin Freeman's a great one. Oh, that is interesting.
What did you learn, Alex?
So I learned, sticking to the kind of war theme that we've got, that the so-called neutral Switzerland, has actually invaded its neighbor Liechtenstein several times.
No.
Accidentally, I should add.
Okay.
Well, how do you
I retract the comment about them being bastards.
And in fairness, it's led to some rather pleasant exchanges as well. On one occasion, they accidentally invaded. The Liechtensteiners reportedly offered drinks to the Swiss soldiers, who declined and quickly departed in what I imagine was quite an awkward exchange. But this has happened several times. In 1968, 5 artillery shells were fired by the Swiss army, which accidentally hits Liechtenstein's only ski resort.
That's
But the only recorded damages were to a few chairs belonging to an outdoor restaurant, though. So it was all good. It was all fun.
That sounds like when there's a big storm and there's like someone takes a picture of a wheelie bin and it's like, oh my goodness, the devastation.
In
I hope no one's sitting in those chairs.
Well, even if they were
wrong.
fine. It just slightly damaged the chairs. I don't know what kind of missiles they were.
Wow.
On 1976, 75 members of the Swiss army and a number of pack horses mistakenly took a wrong turn and ended up 500 meters into Liechtenstein in Balzers. And this is where Liechtensteiners reportedly offered the Swiss invaders some drinks.
Okay.
Have a drink. As recently as 2007, a company of 171 Swiss soldiers mistakenly entered Liechtenstein as they were disoriented and took a wrong turn. Again, this is really a case of Swiss soldiers getting lost, and they wandered 2 kilometers into the country, and Liechtenstein didn't even notice. They were informed about the incursion after the fact, after the Swiss had already left, and the incident was just
what did they do?
Nothing. It was disregarded by both sides, and a Liechtenstein spokesman said it's not like they invaded with attack helicopters. So it's all
they blasted shells into our only ski resort. Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a publicity campaign for their ski resort, clearly. But yeah, no, I think it's kind of nice, actually. It's nice to see that kind of neighborly relations just being like, it was just a mistake, just an accident, you know.
Yeah. Same can't be said for some other countries in the world right now.
No. Like England and France.
Exactly. Yeah.
The French just won't accept us when we accidentally invade them.
I know.
Just a friendly mistake. Took a wrong turn at Trafalgar Square, ended up in Paris.
When the Swiss do this, the Liechtensteiners actually offer them drinks. So where's our drink?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think I have a recommendation perhaps for the next edition of the Swiss Army knife. A compass.
Compass would be a good addition. I think they
into the handle.
Some of them already have them, or are meant to.
I would be surprised if they didn't at this point. Surely I'm not the first person to think of this. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've learned this week. And thank you, both of you, for sharing your facts that you've learned this week. Before we jump into the main topic, there is, however, a few people that I do want to say an extra special thank you to, who have been with us this whole time and supported us, you know, through thick and thin. And we just want to thank our amazing Patreon supporters and YouTube members. And specifically, I would like to thank the following. Scott Joel. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. Amy Licious. Thank you, Amy. No, I'm not going to do this for everyone. I'm sorry. Cindy Hafner, Rashad Najar, Caleb Wilkerson, Kurt Jones, John Baker, Janie, Henny Ruffle, The Super Show Podcast, Nicholas Dill, Emmett Tapia, Ahmed, Peaswad, Josh Chomatek, A Filthy Casual, and of course, it's Simon Workman. Thank you, all of you, so much.
Thank you so much. And I mean, there are names there that have been with us for a very long time. Just it's quite startling, and genuinely hope you're okay.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's extraordinary. It's very humbling to have that kind of support and thanks from people.
And even if you're not supporting us over on Patreon or as a YouTube member, if you're just watching the video, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below. Smash that like button. All of that stuff.
Look at him. Look at him being a YouTuber.
Yeah. Good point.
Just ring the bell so you get notifications, all right?
If you're listening to us on a podcast platform of your choice, and you're able to give us a review or a comment, some platforms allow that now, then please do let us know your thoughts.
You're not being ironic. I thought you were doing the whole YouTube
thing. That was professional, though. That was very professional.
It was serious.
Slick.
Deadly serious.
Slick, some may say.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you to say.
Now, fellas, let's discuss Valiant Animals of War. Right, so who wants to go first with their interesting tale of bravery and courage? And when you think about animals that have served their country proud, what animals do you think of generally?
That's
dogs.
A good question.
Dogs, yeah.
Dogs.
You've got lots of active service dogs in the
you've
army,
got horses.
Horses, yes,
of
definitely.
course, yeah.
And sometimes pigeons as well.
Pigeons
sometimes.
Yeah, think about that.
Going to be talking
Not
about
really
some
any
pigeons
others
today.
come to mind. Those seem to be the animals you'd expect to be involved in a war in a heroic fashion.
If you're going back to ancient times, elephants maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
The big
maybe
Carthaginian.
ostriches.
Yeah, what's his name? Hannibal and his elephants.
Hannibal, yeah.
He did. He had a few elephants. Yeah. But then those kind of elephants, part of me has always wondered when it comes to war elephants, are they really heroic? Because is it more the armies just walking along with the elephants? Because, who's going to get in the way of an elephant?
I mean,
true.
So that's why Hannibal crossed the Alps. He was just like, we've got to stick with these elephants, guys, because we need them in the battle. against the
Elephants have been
Romans.
getting away
And the
with it
elephants-
this whole time, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm tearing
But the
down
elephants
their
take the
wall
long
of
way
lies.
And he's like, Hannibal, why are we taking the long way around to Rome and going over the Alps? Because the elephants are going this way, and I'm not going to tell them to do different. I'm following them.
Yeah, no, true.
Well, since we've mentioned one of those, shall I regale you with a couple of tales?
Oh yeah.
Please do.
So we mentioned it, pigeons. Now, pigeons, I think... Something funny, Robin? These actually...
Great punchline.
These pigeons fought for their country and they're heroes, Robin. So
Some
actually...
of them died for their country.
So actually,
I should treat them with respect.
Yeah, can we
Yeah,
just...
put some respect on their name.
Can we
Keep my pigeon out of your wife's mouth.
let's keep it respectful. Okay?
What was that?
Keep your pigeon out of my wife's mouth.
This was the opposite of respectful. I wanted a nice, respectful discussion about pigeons. And look where we're at.
Oh, goodness. Okay, sorry.
It's
Yes.
fine. It's fine.
Oh.
Okay. Pigeons were famously used during both World Wars, actually, and played an important role as military messengers. In fact, at the beginning of World War II, about 2,000 English pigeons were deployed for use, also called homing pigeons. They were used by the British, American, Canadian, and German troops in different parts of the world during both wars. These birds would carry the messages in special containers that would be tied to their legs and in small pouches on their backs. And there are so many heroic stories of pigeons during both of these wars. I couldn't choose one story, so I'm going to talk about two stories. So the first one is Winky the pigeon, gets a special mention. So during World War II, Winky was aboard a British patrol Beaufort, which is, a British Bristol Beaufort, which is a type of plane. This is in the RAF. And it crashed in the North Sea on the 23rd of February 1942 as a result of being badly damaged by enemy fire, following a mission to Norway. So they were struggling in the freezing Norwegian waters, the crew of this downed British plane. And the crew remembered they had on board a special member who could save them. Their last hope. It was a British blue-checkered hen, and sending her was their only chance at survival, as the crew didn't have time to radio an accurate position of their location before ditching the craft. So they released Winky, who then flew 120 miles home to Broughty Ferry, where her owner, George Ross, discovered an exhausted pigeon still dripping with oil from the crash. Absolutely exhausted, nearly
Knackered,
near
basically.
death,
Yeah.
but it flew 120 miles covered in oil. And the owner then alerted the airbase, the local RAF airbase in Fife, and a search and rescue team was launched. Now, this is interesting. So using the time difference from the plane ditching to the arrival of the pigeon at the loft where it lived, and taking into account the wind direction and the inhibition to her flight speed caused by the oil, spoiling her feathers and stuff, the RAF were able to approximate where the plane ditched, and they found the crew within 15 minutes. How amazing is
calculations.
that?
How do you measure the damage to the wing and then the flight speed? That is wild.
Insane, right? Like how could they possibly know that? Yeah, so within 15 minutes, the crew's position had been located. It's crazy. And in honor of Winky, the crew were rescued and later held a dinner for Winky, who basked in her cage as she was toasted by her fellow officers. And
Not on the grill.
not on the grill, no.
Good.
Martin, come on, show some respect. This pigeon, fought for our country. So
Yeah.
saved lives.
Apologies, everyone. Apologies.
I just wanted to mention as an aside to this story, there's a medal instituted in the UK called the Dickon Medal, which was started in 1943 by social reformer Maria Dickon to honour the work of animals in World War II. And it's a bronze medallion bearing the words "For Gallantry" and "We Also Serve." And the award is commonly referred to as the Animals Victoria Cross. For
Bit
her,
silly, isn't it? engraving
it's
it.
not
I
silly.
can't read.
It's not silly, Martin. It's not silly. It's to honor the animals that gave their lives.
Yeah.
And for her show of courage under exceptionally difficult conditions, Winky received the Dickon Medal and was the first animal ever to get the award. But since then, more than 70 animals went on to receive this prestigious award. So yeah, there's one story of a pigeon, and I just had to tell one more because there are just so many heroic pigeons.
So Alex, just to summarize, Winky got his dick in.
I am up to here. I am up here. I command you to stop.
Good. Sorry, continue.
You got it out of your system? You good? Look, I'm not going to interrupt you when you tell your story. I might. I probably will.
Sorry, it was too good not to say.
That was good. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
So, okay, taking this back a bit, during World War One, have you heard of the Lost Battalion before?
Ooh.
Rings a bell, but
It does ring a bell, yeah. So this was the 77th Infantry Division. Over 500 soldiers were trapped behind enemy lines in the Argonne Forest in northeastern France. Cut off from reinforcements and supplies, surrounded by German forces, and they were under constant attack even by their own artillery, which began shelling their position, unaware of their location. So this was the Lost Battalion. And in a desperate attempt to stop the friendly fire and call for help and, alert people to their location, the soldiers sent message after message via carrier pigeons. One by one, the pigeons were shot down. However, Cher Ami, their final hope, was sent off with a tiny canister attached to his leg containing the last vital message. We are along the road parallel to 276.4. Our own artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it. The brave bird flew straight into the German fire, dodging bullets as he went. However, his luck didn't last long. Cher Ami was hit in the chest soon after takeoff. And American soldiers watched in horror as their last hope hit the ground. But, against all odds, Cher Ami got up again. Wounded but still alive, the little bird took flight again, charging head-on, wave after wave of gunfire, and by the end of the trip, he covered 25 miles in roughly half an hour, and he arrived at the base heavily wounded but alive, shot in the chest, blinded in one eye, with his left leg hanging on by a single tendon.
Dear oh dear.
But despite this, though, army medics were able to save the pigeon's life. And because of Cher Ami's delivery, the artillery stopped and took up new firing coordinates away from American lines. And the next day, shells started to fall on German positions, relieving pressure on the bloodied 77th, and the battle turned in America's favor.
Wow.
On October 8th, 194 men made it back to the American lines, thanks to Cher Ami's sacrifice. And for his part in saving the 77th Division, Cher Ami was awarded the Croix de Guerre. I don't know how you pronounce it. Croix
de Guerre.
Croix de Guerre. There we go. One of France's highest military honors for his gallantry in the field. And General John Pershing, commander of the American Expeditionary Force, said, "There isn't anything the United States can do too much for this bird." So there you go.
There we go. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
What an amazing story. How has there not been?
That is remarkable.
How has there not been a film made about this?
Yeah, or at least
This brave
Pixar.
little pigeon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess you're getting into the Watership Down territory with that story, though, aren't you?
it might be a
The
bit
trauma
gory for Pixar.
the children
yeah.
will experience.
Oh yeah, I'm
survived.
joking.
Cher Ami survives, but yeah, he'll never
Shot
walk
in the
again.
chest.
Yeah.
I love how you said the bit that really got me, Alex, in terms of the dramatic movie was, despite being wounded, Cher Ami got up and kept on fighting.
Yeah, you can see that playing out, can't you?
I ain't
Yeah.
got time to bleed. Yeah, and just flew off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Slow motion, stirring music, rises, swells. Yeah, that's good. That's great. That's
Wow.
yeah.
There you go. You're welcome. It played out exactly like that. Would you believe? It played exactly like that. Nothing was over dramatized for dramatic effect there. It's just
We actually had to tone it down
yeah, I mean,
because it was just too incredible.
I missed the bit where he picked
know.
up a machine gun and started firing, but what can he do? I've only got so much
And then
time.
he got on the artillery, changed the coordinates,
Yeah, and everyone
and started
clapped.
blasting.
That was my stories about pigeons. So next time
That was
you are in
great.
Trafalgar Square, and you know the man is trying to tell you can't feed the pigeons.
Yeah.
Or
Next time you're thinking of kicking one.
Someone calls them rats with wings. Just think, okay,
Oh no,
you know,
it's not fair, is it?
it's not fair.
It wasn't
They're good.
It wasn't for sharing
They're
me.
good animals. Yeah,
Yeah,
Treat the bird with respect.
exactly.
yeah. Share me, which of course translates into English as war hero. So, well done.
Do you know what it
Share
actually
me.
translates to? Dear friend.
Share me. Yeah.
Martin, I'm going to come to you next. And I'm probably not going to interrupt you during your story.
No, that's fine.
Alex is
Please
too
do.
polite. He's too much of an
Please do. So,
excellent host.
have you guys listened to the Ricky Gervais podcast?
Way
back in the day.
Way back in the day, I have, yeah.
Well, there was a specific segment on there called Monkey News.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember Monkey News.
And I've got some monkey news for you,
Oh
I guess more specifically some baboon news.
Where is this going?
And this is a soldier who, of course, was a baboon who served in the South African army during World War One. And the way he got into the army wasn't through rigorous training, although I'm sure he would have excelled. But he was the pet baboon of a particular soldier called Albert Marr.
So it's nepotism.
African army. It's nepotism, yeah. You're getting your mates into the army. Yeah, terrible. And so he was like, I can't leave my baboon Jackie the baboon behind. So Jackie officially enlisted. Enlisted, yeah, in the 3rd South African Infantry Regiment, basically saying, "Don't take my wings," and then they let him in. And so he was given a uniform, of course, a cap, and rations, just like any other soldier. And everyone was fine with this. They're like, "Great, it's good to have him around." He throws his shit, but he pulls his weight as well, so we're okay with him. And so,
as long as he's throwing it at the enemies, then that's all that matters. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Jackie not only lifted morale, but he was more than just a mascot. He was intelligent. He was loyal. Mimicked soldiers around him, which kind of sounds a little bit like bullying, but we'll let him off.
Just some gentle hazing, really. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that he did was he helped keep watch, and he alerted other soldiers when there were warning signals. So enemy forces nearby started screeching. Everyone knew there was enemy coming. So he had a keen knack of knowing when danger was ever present. And so Jackie was along the front lines during different battles. And there was a particular battle called the Battle of Delville Wood, which was in 1916. And Jackie was injured quite badly. So he got hit in the leg with some shrapnel.
No.
Whilst trying to build, so always the ever-present, very much part of the team. He was building a protective wall at this time. Oh. So he's there, he's building this wall. Explosion happens, gets his leg, ripped to shreds, and it had to be amputated. Oh, so he was awarded a medal for his valor, and was discharged from the South African Army with honours. And then after the war, he returned to South Africa with his owner, Albert Marr, and he then died a little bit later in 1921. But before then, he did a bit of a tour going around. You know how they did.
It was on the lecture
fundraising. Exactly. Fundraising for the army, which was also fantastic. And so, he was decorated and became part of South African army folklore for his service. And if you look up the pictures, if you go on Jackie the baboon, you will see him in his full military regalia with, of course, one leg. So feel free to have a look, and it's quite a sight.
Was he able to stand on?
Oh, he's like sat. He's sat on like a table. That one I've seen. Oh wow, that's okay. Do you know what? He's pulling the face that you see like veterans like pull like in military. He's like very serious,
he looks
very
the part.
stern.
Yeah, he's stoic.
Stoic. Yeah, exactly. He's he's seen some stuff. He's got some stories to tell. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Seen things.
I love the idea of him. I mean, it's tragic in building, but just putting together a quick stone wall for protection.
Oh yeah.
When the accident happens,
that's amazing.
Build a wall. Yeah, build that wall. Yeah,
What a good monkey.
Animals are cleverer than
I
we
know.
give them credit for.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure they allow him in the army nowadays, but different times back then, wasn't it? Take your pets along. Doesn't matter. Could go horribly wrong, couldn't it? Like, not only you could definitely give away their position.
I mean, yeah, and also like, what if it just decides to start playing with a grenade or something?
Yeah, exactly.
instead
Yeah.
of-
Keep it away from those things, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in the battlefield context, and you're walking along, you're in your company, you're marching, trudge, trudge, trudge. You've got orders to go somewhere. Somebody says, "Do you hear a baboon screeching over there?" Would you really be like? Would you think, "Look, we've got to investigate this. Could be enemy troops," or would you really be like, "Leave it off,
Yeah,
mate.
let's
just go where we're supposed to go. We're tired. Let's go on with it."
No, you're right. You're right. Unless his notoriety and became a thing. Like,
yeah, if it's
they've got a baboon with them. I know they're around here.
yeah. Yeah, if it became like infamous for the enemy forces.
Yeah.
If you hear
great
if you hear a
psychological weapon there,
baboon
yeah.
screeching, then death approaches or something. Yeah.
Yeah, someone kill that baboon. It will lower morale. He probably is building a wall or something. Yeah.
Fascinating story, and yeah, thanks for sharing, Martin. Thank you.
Well done, well done,
thanks.
Jackie. Yeah.
Here's to you,
I mean, in
Jackie.
a way, yeah. What's most surprising to me is I didn't know baboons could be that amenable and caring
Yeah, no,
for
neither.
humans.
I didn't think that they could be pets. Yeah, like that shouldn't be the takeaway of this story, but
Sorry, yes, heroic baboon. Yes, definitely. Well, my animal story is another mascot, so another animal taken into war. But this is Sergeant Bill, the goat.
Oh, a
Funny
goat.
name.
Goat in
Goat
war. That
in
doesn't sound
war.
very practical.
Billy Goat.
War goat.
Well,
nice.
Well, that's part of the story. So the story starts on the 23rd of August in 1914. So less than a month, just a few weeks after World War I had begun. And a train carrying soldiers of the 5th Battalion Western Cavalry in Canada stopped at Broadview, Saskatchewan. The soldiers noticed a local girl called Daisy Kerwin and her cart goat named Bill. And they asked her if they could have the goat as a good luck mascot on their way to the front in Europe. And she said yes. And they promised to give him back. I think a bit of a naive deal perhaps on her part, but no,
sure,
no spoilers. Yeah. So they took him to England where they had training, and then they were shipped to the front. But as you just pointed out, Martin, it shouldn't be allowed. And it wasn't allowed. The colonel of the regiment, or the battalion, said that goat is staying. But the soldiers had grown so fond of Bill that they bought a crate of oranges from a local woman, peddler woman, ate all the oranges, and then put Bill inside the crate, hammered it shut, and smuggled him to the front in a crate of oranges, or an orange crate. And then once he got there, he was there, and the colonel had to accept it. And he was promoted to private, became Private Bill, and part of the regiment.
Yeah. What was he, recruit before then? Recruit Bill.
Recruit,
nothing really, was he?
Yeah, just Bill.
Recruit,
I guess, yeah.
It was just a goat that they brought with them, and they were like, "This is insane."
I have to remind myself it's actually a goat. Yeah. What was he before then? Well, I don't know really. Yeah,
It was just a goat that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. So Private Bill was a pretty brave goat. Apparently, he was very happy. Well, happy, but he was always on the front lines with the men.
He didn't know what was going on.
Wow,
Just loved
or
it.
did
Just loved
he?
a war.
So there are a
Psychopath
couple
goat.
he was not only always there for the fellas, but he did a couple of things that suggested he might have actually known what was going on. So one time he
committed a
saved the
few
lives-
atrocities.
He saved the lives of two of the Canadian soldiers he was with by standing in front of them when a shell landed, and he took the brunt of the shell blast.
Oh God!
But he survived.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Another time, he was awarded for this, and he was promoted to Sergeant Bill. And another time after that,
Imagine being a private after that. You'd be like, for goodness sake.
but a bit shame. Another time, he saved the lives of 3 of his fellow soldiers by, as a shell was incoming, he headbutted them,
No.
kind of knocked them over into a ditch
Whoa!
just before a shell landed on the spot where they were standing.
Down, Mr. President, kind of thing. Like,
I mean, your
was injured
reaction
again.
speed there.
Yeah. I mean, you must have heard the shell coming. It was that whistling sound.
Yeah.
And he headbutted them, knocked them into the ditch, saved their lives. Another time, in no man's land, he wandered off on his own, and they noticed Bill was kind of hovering at a certain, what do you call them, like shell hole.
Crater?
Crater, thank you, that's the word, crater. And they went over to investigate what he was doing, and he was standing guard over a German soldier who was in the crater trying to hide, and there was Bill staring him down, like watching him, guarding him. He captured a German soldier.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay, fair enough, yeah.
So these are the acts of heroism that got him rewarded and promoted to sergeant. However, he was a bit of a troublemaker. The colonel of the regiment the battalion, didn't like him. And unfortunately, apparently Bill's favourite food was beer, and he would drink as much of the stuff as he could get, which was okay on the front because there wasn't that much beer to go around. But if he got hold of it, he would drink it. And
it's kind of worse, isn't it? It's the last beer, just smashing it back.
He'll eat anything as well. And in particular, I have distinct memories of going to a zoo when I was a kid, a petting zoo, and trying to feed a goat. And there was a little paper packet full of pellets to feed the goat.
Oh, yeah.
And the goat just ate the whole packet of the paper, just grabbed the paper and ate that, and the pellets fell on the floor. And Sergeant Bill was no exception. He liked to eat paper. And one time he got in trouble for eating some top secret papers on the colonel's desk.
Wow.
And he was court-martialed for this.
What?
He was also court-martialed a second time for assaulting an officer.
No.
What?
That's not real, surely.
No, this is true. And he was court-martialed a third time, apparently, although I'm not sure what for. But again, I think it was to do with insulting or what's the word?
Insubordination.
Disrespecting. Insubordination, thank you, yeah.
That is ridiculous.
And the record shows he was actually imprisoned, arrested, under arrest for as a punishment for a total of 28 days.
I love how all of these are like, it's like the officers didn't like Bill, and it's like, no, they just didn't like having a goat around. It's like it's not personal.
He was, as a result of these court-martials, he was the most punished soldier in the battalion during World War One.
That's incredible.
He was at Ypres and Neuve-Chapelle, these quite big, notorious battles. Yeah. And he survived the war. And by the end of it, he was one of the few who had actually survived till 1918, having joined in August 1914. Most of the others dead.
Yeah.
Or terribly injured. And he was awarded the 1914-15 Star, the British War Medal, and the Victory Medal.
Wow.
And then he went back home.
So he did
demobilized. Yeah.
I was really expecting this to end in tragedy. So he did go home.
He did go home, and he went back to Daisy Kerwayne.
How long does a goat live?
Well, I don't know how long he lived, but he was dead by the Second World War, and he's now displayed in the Saskatchewan Legislative Building, stuffed.
Wow.
In uniform.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, he's got like one of those, those coats that you see on dogs, to keep them warm.
Oh yeah,
or horses. Yeah. He's got kind of one of those with his sergeant stripes on and his medals.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a good goat. I think it's like probably worth mentioning with all these stories. Like that's a great story, and thank you for sharing, Robin. But like with all of these, it kind of feels like that goat didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there. He was dragged there by like people. And I think that is kind of sad about with all these stories, that like these animals are just kind of like brought along for the ride in human affairs. And I mean, I guess that's the story with human involvement with any animals, I guess. But I think it's why I think it's worth celebrating all animals that involuntarily served during the war. Because they had nothing to do with it, really. They didn't belong there.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So here's to you, animals. Well done.
Well done.
Well done, all of you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Exactly. But thank you for sharing, guys. And thank you for listening at home. I hope you enjoyed that. And let us know if you did want us to carry on this. I don't know, discuss some more, or if there's any that we missed that you think we should have discussed, let us know in the comments down below. And before we sign off this week, did we have any comments from the past few weeks that we wanted to, any favorite comments that we wanted to discuss or raise? Because we often like to read your comments, and what have you got for us?
I got some lovely comments on our last episode, which was about SpaceX's Polaris what's it called? Polaris Dawn.
Yeah,
Polaris
mission.
Dawn. What a name! What a name! It's hard for me to pick actually, but I think I'll go with one that really amused me, from Case Closed 9342, who says, a response to the story of Polaris Dawn and a spacewalk by a billionaire. Well, it's too bad space is no longer the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. And that really made me laugh.
That's really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
And if you
Clever,
don't know what that's a
clever.
reference to, just look to the left of your screen and you'll see Tim Curry yelling space as part of our
Nice.
background. And yeah, it's a reference to his lines for, was it Red Alert 3 or something?
2, I think.
Red Alert
Red Alert 2.
His character in that. Yeah, he was just having a great time with that role, wasn't he? Nice. Fantastic comment. Martin, do you have any comments from the past week?
Well, there's a nice one from Kimberly Bridges who says that she missed you guys. Thanks for coming back.
Oh.
We're glad you had productive summers. Yeah, we had a bit of a break that wasn't planned, I guess, but we all just were having
Yeah.
crazy summers. And then someone who clarified just on the status of astronauts. So we spoke a little bit about, okay, is a rich person that goes to space actually an astronaut or not?
Yeah.
And websited says the private space missions by SpaceX, like Inspiration 4, Axios, and now Polaris Dawn, are considered commercial astronauts. They're not claiming it to be their profession. So there is a distinction. There's commercial astronauts versus astronauts, which I thought was quite interesting. So thank you for the clarification there.
I had a comment from Red Kitty Project, who says, not watched the show for so long as I became a transit listener. When I saw a new episode while home, I decided to watch this one. Oh my God, I seriously thought a young Bill Oddie was on the show. Then I realized it was Alex. I'll take it. Bill Oddie. I guess it's the long hair now. It's getting.
Yeah, was Bill Oddie?
He must have had long hair. He must have
did,
had long hair as.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that was amusing. I always enjoy
There's music.
seeing what
National
comparisons
treasure.
people have. Yeah.
And that's what you are, Alex. A national treasure.
That's kind of you to say. I don't think I'll be recognized as a national treasure just yet, but who knows?
Well,
maybe someday in the future.
Just watch out for Nicolas Cage. That's all I can say.
Now, speaking of fantastic films, it's
Never seen a
National Treasure.
No, National Treasure.
Oh,
you're missing
no.
out.
you're in
Yeah.
for a treat. There's your
Aged like a fine wine.
there's your end of
Good.
podcast recommendations. It's National
Okay,
Treasure
great.
and the sequel, National Treasure: Book of Secrets. Obviously, there you go.
Fantastic.
Thank you guys so much for this riveting discussion, and thank you at home for listening to us ramble on for the past hour. We hope you enjoyed it, and let us know what topics you'd like to see us cover in the future down below. And thanks again. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.